This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The time is 8:45. Here's the news edited by Lal Malvarachi, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. Steps have been taken to ensure the reopening of schools in August. Vaccination of government teachers began today. All teachers in the Colombo districts will be vaccinated by tomorrow. 31 more COVID-19 related deaths reported, increasing the total number of deaths 3,533. COVID-19 recovery rate has increased. Mahavali Development Authority is to manufacture 350,000 metric tons of organic fertilizer during the Maha season. Foreign news, Raya protests see thousands on street in Cuba. Local news in detail. Minister of Education Professor J.L. Ferris said that the initial steps have been taken to ensure the reopening of schools in August this year after the vaccination of school teachers and non-academic staff. Speaking to the media following his participation in the official launch of the COVID vaccination drive for school teachers and non-academic staff at the Army Hospital today, he said that all teachers in the Colombo region were being vaccinated today and the program will be completed by tomorrow. This program will rapidly implemented in the other provinces and districts as well. Under the current pandemic situation, online education is the best alternative. The Director General of the Health Services has confirmed 31 more COVID-19 related fatalities that have occurred. The new deaths have pushed the official death toll due to the virus in Sri Lanka to 3,533. According to the data released by the Department of Government Information, the new victims confirmed today include 15 females and 16 males. Meanwhile, another 920 persons have tested positive for the virus today, increasing the country's tally of the COVID-19 positive cases to 275,458. According to the Epidemiology Unit of the Health Ministry, currently a total of 25,715 patients infected with the virus are under medical care. The Health Ministry sources say that COVID-19 recovery rate has increased. Over 1,800 patients recovered today and left the hospitals and medical treatment centers. The recovery rate is at 89.4% at this moment. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank, celebrating 60 years of empowering the nation.
Continuing with more local news, the Attorney General today informed the Supreme Court that since 2019, the government has not entered into any agreements with relevant parties regarding the status of forces agreement. The Attorney General made these remarks when the 4 fundamental rights petitions filed against MCC, status of forces agreement and acquisition and cross-servicing agreement were taken up before the Supreme Court. At a previous occasion, the Attorney General had informed the Supreme Court that the government has taken a decision not to sign the controversial Millennium Challenge Corporation (MCC) Compact. The court was further informed that MCC board had also decided to discontinue the proposed MCC Development Assistance Grant to Sri Lanka. President's counsel Sanjeev Jayawardena, appearing for the petitioner, told the court that dangerous consequences could arise if the agreement signed, the SOFA agreement. Taking into consideration the submissions by both parties, Supreme Court decided to lay by the petitions while reserving petitioners' rights to resume hearings if necessary. Mahavali Development Authority says that it will manufacture 350,000 metric tons of organic fertilizer during the Maha season. 150,000 metric tons of organic fertilizer were needed for the paddy lands in the Mahabali zone. Director of the Mahabali Development Authority, Kirti Kotagama, says that the rest of the stock will be given to Ministry of Agriculture. That ends local news.
Towards a new dimension in innovation, People's Bank, celebrating 60 years of empowering the nation.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Vaccination of government teachers began today. Under this program, over 270,000 teachers and non-academic staff will be vaccinated. The government expects to vaccinate teachers within this week. Vaccination of all teachers in the Colombo district will be completed by tomorrow. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight. Several government buildings in the Polpitigama DS division have been abandoned for a period of nearly 30 years and their surroundings are covered with shrubs. Residents in the Hakwatunawa, Egodagama and Dagama say that the responsible authorities have not taken any action either to repair them or to demolish them. As a result, certain elements use these buildings for various anti-social activities. There are 3 neglected buildings belonging to the irrigation department at Dagama, 1 building belonging to the textile department at Ma Elia, and 1 hospital building at Siembalan Gamua. This is the attention of the relevant officials in the area. That ends Watchlight. Moving on to world news, let's take a look at the headlines. Rare protests see thousands on streets in Cuba. Prime Minister Boris Johnson urges caution as 19 July unlocked said to go ahead. Lightning strike kills 16 taking selfies in India. World news in detail. Thousands have taken to the streets in Cuba in protest over the government's handling of both coronavirus and the economy. It is unusual to see people demonstrate openly in the tightly controlled communist-run island, as those speaking out risk being detained. However, pro-government supporters of the President Miguel Diaz-Canel also came to this defense, after the President himself urged people to defend the revolution. Prime Minister Boris Johnson is expected to confirm later the plan to lift almost all legal restrictions on social contact in England on 19th July. But ahead of news conference on the Monday afternoon, Mr. Johnson has urged people to be cautious. He warned COVID-19 cases, currently at about 30,000 a day, would continue to rise as society reopened. A lightning strike killed at least 16 people and injured many more in Jaipur in northern India yesterday. The victims were taking selfies in the rain on top of a watchtower at the city's 12th century Amber Fort, a popular tourist attraction. Dozens have also died in lightning strikes in Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh states. Lightning strikes kill some 2,000 Indians on average every year, according to officials' data. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Rare protests see thousands on street in Cuba. Prime Minister Boris Johnson urges caution as 19th July unlocking set to go ahead. Lightning strikes kills 16 taking selfies in India. That ends world news. Development News is brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melva RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melva RB500, number 1 in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
The 1.5-kilometer road from Bothlegama to Morokali in the Vennapua area was developed, undercarpeted and opened for the public. The road, which had not been renovated for years despite the request of the public, was constructed at a cost of 15 million rupees under the supervision of the State Minister Arundika Fernando. That ends Development News. Development News was brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melva RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melva RB500, number 1 in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
Moving on to sports news, Tokyo Olympics is scheduled to begin on July 23rd after a year-long delay due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This is the first time that the Olympic Games have been postponed and rescheduled rather than cancelled. The opening ceremony of the Tokyo Olympics 2021 will take place on July 23rd at a newly built national stadium in the Japanese capital, while the closing ceremony will be held on August 8, 2021 at the same venue. Despite being rescheduled for 2021, the event retains the Tokyo 2020 name for marketing and branding purposes. That ends sports news. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money. Radial tire capacity has been raised by 16% to 600,000 a year to cater to strong demand, Sri Lanka-based Siat Kalani Holdings said, as import controls slapped as money printing created forex shortages. The addition of 2 tire processors and the tire building machine will add the capacity to produce 84,000 more tires from the current 516,000 units. The capacity will ease the pressure on supply attributed to the government-imposed restrictions on the import of certain sizes to conserve foreign exchange. That ends Business News. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news. Courtesy of
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Washington-based U.S. International Development Finance Corporation has given a $150 million credit to Sri Lanka's DFCC to refinance small and medium industries linked to women. A portion of the loan will be directed towards SMEs owned or led by Sri Lankan women. The U.S. development lender has last week approved a $75 million credit to NDB, also prioritizing women. Sri Lanka's central bank has said it will provide swaps to banks that bring money from abroad. That ends economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
The Met Department says showers of thunder showers will occur at times in central and sub-Ragamar provinces and several spells of showers will occur in western and northwestern provinces and in Kol and Mathura districts. Strong gusty winds up to 60 km per hour are likely at times over western slope of the central hills, and gusty winds up to 50 km per hour at times are likely in northern, north central, northwestern, northern and southern provinces and in Trincomalee districts. That ends with the report.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
To conclude the night news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Steps have been taken to ensure the reopening of schools in August. Vaccination of government teachers began today. All teachers in Colombo district will be vaccinated by tomorrow. 31 more COVID-19 related deaths reported, increasing the total number of deaths to 3,533. COVID-19 recovery rate has increased. Mahaveli Development Authority is to manufacture 350,000 metric tons of organic fertilizer during the Maha season. Foreign news, rare protests see thousands on streets in Cuba. With that, we wrap up the night news on Radio Sri Lanka.